The American dream is alive and well. And today we have a guest that's turned his dream into a reality. Welcome to the Socio Negocios podcast, sponsored by BMO. Welcome back to the Socio Negocios podcast, sponsored by BMO. Local businesses play an invaluable role in our communities. BMO is helping business owners make real financial progress with access to funds and resources. Learn more at bmo.com. So today we have an incredible guest. He's going to tell us his story, how he went from a dream to a reality. We have here at the Socio Negocios podcast, Servando Orozco. Servando, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you, Giancarlo. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you today and share my story.
Yeah, you know, Servando, we had done an article with you on our magazine on Vivela, and your story really stuck with me. I think you have an amazing story of success, and I was so happy to hear that you were gonna join me today on the Socio Negocios podcast. And tell me how you got started in that entrepreneurial journey.
You know, my school is different than most people. I learned through people, through books. When I was a child back home, I was working at a gas station. And the owner of the gas station shared with me his story, how successful he became after he was in the United States for 2 days, saved his money and went back home and invested money and borrowed land with somebody else's money, basically using a credit. That man inspired me because when I see someone, like, I always say, show me the money, you know? And when I see his success, I say, I can do that too. That was the first person he inspired me, even though I had many mentors in my life, from books, people I never met in my life, and also met the right people in the right time, from coaches, professors, business owners, who are so kind enough to share with me what they know.
Servando, give us some context. How old were you when this epiphany of this mentor happened?
I was 10 years old.
10 years old?
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, 10 years old, I was not thinking about business.
When you entrepreneur, I believe has to be in your blood, has to be in your heart. I shouldn't say that, but when I was 10 years old, I was making more money than my dad already.
How did that impact the rest of your life, having to work at such a young age?
Well, I remember something there. Sometimes the question was not, what we're going to eat. Are we going to eat? When you have a difficult times or the things are difficult, the creation is the mother invasion. You have to do whatever you have to do to survive.
Right.
I know you don't ask me this question, but when I come from a childhood with my parents was very poor, you know, you have to think different out of the box. But also has to be in your blood and your heart that you want to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
That man inspired me to believe that I can do better than that. And that's what I did. When I came to the United States, I was working for a group of musicians. They have a group. Mm-hmm. And I met them because I helped them to unload the instruments to win the entrance ticket to go to the event. That way I don't have to pay for the ticket. And I helped them to collect the instruments to earn the right to the next town the next day. And that relationship helped me to come to the United States. And they invite me to this country. They introduce me to people. And that's how I learned this skill to be a technician, because they have a friend who owned an auto repair shop in Compton. And through that relation, I went to another relations who see in me maybe the things I don't see for myself. Give me the opportunity to go to classes, go to school, give me books. And the way I see things back has been a process. And if I share the process is I did backwards. Now I tell people to have a clear vision what they want out of their lives.
You know, I think that's you have a very unique story. Okay. You know, you came to the States, and now you own four different auto shops.
4 companies, 7 locations, yes.
7 locations,
Yes.
4 different
And
companies.
another corporation with the real estate.
Wow, you
Yeah.
are a diverse man.
Yes.
That's amazing. Servando, tell me what key decisions have helped you along the way to become such a successful entrepreneur?
I think has to meet the right people in the right time and surround myself with the right people. I went through personal development, like, well, I went to personal development like not most people do because I didn't have a choice. But if I go back a little bit, the first 5 years in business was so difficult because I didn't know business. I was a great mechanic, but I didn't understand business. And for the first 5 years that I was in my own business, I survived, was in a survival mode all the time because I was working hard.
And this was as a mechanic,
No,
as a business owner
as a
already.
business owner. I opened my first location December 1999. And the first 5 years, I struggled so bad in business because I tried to serve everyone. I didn't understand what that mean.
What do you think it contributed to that struggle?
Because I learned be a mechanic, the first step. I didn't invest in myself to go to school to learn business, finance, marketing, leadership. Business is not only work on that trade as a mechanic. It's not enough to be a good mechanic. You have to learn more skills. You have to identify what things you're good at, and for those you're not good, find people who can do for you.
You know, that's a really great point. As a matter of fact, on a previous podcast, I had a friend of the show, Claudia Shaw, and we were talking about the importance of identifying your strengths and weaknesses.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like I could be an incredible cook, but I may not be an incredible business owner. And I think surrounding yourself with the right people that can help you be successful, I think it's key.
You're 100% right.
So, you know, what are some of the obstacles that you saw throughout your career as an entrepreneur? How did you? What was the mindset that you had when you saw an obstacle? What led you to take the next step?
In the last few years, be maybe I'm in business for 25 years, but the last 18 years, I grow my business from a point I never thought I can do one day, and was because I opened my mind to accept the things I can do and the things I can't do it, and identify the right people who can help me. One thing is learn how to delegate, but also when you delegate something, you have to follow up to make sure they do the job. Because I'm still responsible to delegate something to my people. Make sure I delegate to the right people to make sure do the job right. Because in my organization, I see things and I see business 3 ways. Is sell with profit,
Hmm.
produce, and have happy employees and happy customers.
You know, I that philosophy I can subscribe to that
Okay.
every day, all the time. I think that makes complete sense, and I think that not one person does it alone,
No,
right?
that you're right. Because sell with profit, produce, and have happy employees and happy customers, you need assistance and procedures for every single thing. You have to make sure those systems and procedures are in place because anything you monitor and measure is going to be improved. But you have to rely your business in systems and procedures, not in trust. Even though you have to trust people, but you have to verify.
Servando, how do you motivate your staff? Because I think as a leader and as a leader in your business, in your industry, um, you know, we said you can't do it all by yourself. How do you motivate your staff?
What worked for me is be a role model. Do what you said when you say you're going to do it. Because they like my kids. They know me very well.
It's a family to
Oh
you.
yeah. You can't say something and do something else. Even though you have to show the love, you have to feed the pocket, but you have to feed the heart.
I find that,
Yep.
it's funny. I think it's a cultural thing almost,
Mm-hmm.
right? I I work for a company called Clasificado, with the is part of Socio Negocios as well, and it is very similar to that. It is very family oriented. Our CEO and founders, they treat us as part of their family, and it nurtures the that relationship among every employee. So it's very unique. I'm very impressed how you treat your employees, the care and the dedication and the investment that you put into each and every one of them.
So true. You have to create leaders. The more you create leaders, the more they take care of you, they take care of the rest of the team. If I can elaborate on something like that, years ago, one of my mentors said to me, the first thing you learn is to work with your hands. Then you learn to work with your mind. And then you learn to work with somebody else's hands. When miracles is going to happen, when you learn to work with somebody else's mind. When you create those leadership, those people who can think for you, who can do things because they want to do, not because they have to do it.
You know, before this podcast,
Uh-huh.
we were chatting off camera, and I had asked you why not all the businesses under one name? For I guess for marketing purposes it's probably easier. But then you gave me a really interesting answer, and I want you to share that with our audience.
Okay. In business, create a brand, maintain a brand is very expensive. But also, you have to be able to deliver the message to the right people. We in Southern California. Long Beach, I put a deep roots in the community. I'm part of the community. But Orange County, I hardly get there. And I put Orozco's out of service, and we have a lot of Asian community,
Mhm.
and they only do business with their people. And I want to attract more Asian, more white, Hispanics, black, and I had to have a middle name, not last name as Orozco, so Spanish name. I need a Raven's Auto Repair. Even though you don't mind, I can share the story of Raven.
No, please.
Raven was my dog. He passed away last year. Raven was my dog. He passed away last year. In his honor, I changed my corporation for the real estate to his name, and I opened those two shops in his name. But now I want to take it to another level. I want to pay 50% of the fees to adopting dogs in Orange County. What I really looking to do is find a shelter who can qualify people because in my heart, not everybody can own a pet.
Let's get back to the financials,
Okay.
because a lot of people when they have this dream of, oh, I'm going to start my business, financials kind of get in the way,
Yes.
and um, what kind of advice would you give a wannabe business owner or a business owner that's struggling,
Mm-hmm.
right? Better yet, about staying on top of their money management.
As a business owner, you must know your finance. You must run P&Ls every month, balance sheet. You must look for professional help, CFO, CPA. Even now these days with technology, there's so much information available for us. But you have to understand financials.
Yeah, we had said just earlier we had
Uh-huh.
said just because you're great at making food, making tacos, for instance, doesn't make you a great business owner. So, really source someone that can help you and it can contribute to the part that maybe you're lacking,
Mhm.
right? So that's really important.
If I was share one thing about finance, most of business they run 40% cost of the goods sold, 40% of the fixed expense, and 20% of the bottom numbers. Or at least find a competitor in your same industry and ask questions how they run the P&Ls. What is normal? What percentage is normal as an expenses, as a cost of doing business, or bottom numbers?
Servando, when I think of a business owner,
Mhm.
I can't help to associate education with their success. Tell us about your experience with education and your success. How do you relate those two?
Maybe you asked the wrong guy because I didn't have a chance to go to school. I went to second grade, secondary, like a junior high, and I didn't finish that year. But my education is different than most people. It's through books and through people that I met in my life. I'm very obsessed to learn something when I see value, and that's my education. I call self-education.
Like a self.
Yeah,
So to go back, I didn't ask the question to the wrong person. Actually, I asked to the right person.
thank you.
I really do because I guess education comes in
Uh,
different forms. It's
yes,
not just going to school, going to college, university, having an MBA. I think those are great, but educating yourself and having the drive to want to better yourself is just as important.
yes. To me, I take very serious advice for the people that I admire, the people that who basically are where I want to be. If I share something with you years ago, somebody tell me, Servando, focus on four things. I say, give it to me. Focus on your talents. You can call talents, skills, abilities. Say second, focus on your resources. Those sources can be information, can be data, can be relationships, can be assets. Four is your motivation. Can be motivation, can be discipline. And four, the most important, make sure your emotional bank account is strong. Always you have to control yourself. Because the moment you lose your emotional side, all the assets, sources, information you have is useless.
I really like that. You know, it seems like you over your years you've had some kind of mentorship,
Many.
many. And I would love for our audience
Mm-hmm.
to understand the importance of having a mentor, of having a network of support. How important really is it in the business world?
Save you a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot
Possibly
of
a lot of
mistakes,
headaches.
and a lot of headaches. Yes. The first time that I used mentors is when I was a technician. And when I need help, or when I met someone who's better than me, always asking, can you sell me 1 hour of your time? They say, why? I have questions. And they give me the hour, but they never collect the money. They never take the money. Always they're willing to help. And I learned good people, coaches, they're willing to share what they know.
Yeah, I guess the message there,
Uh-huh.
and I really want to make sure I stress this to our audience, don't be afraid of asking for help. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to help you, um, not for a fee, but to feel good inside. And I think you've had a mentor in your past, you've had probably multiple mentors, and you're doing the same thing. You're passing on your knowledge. In this very show, you're doing the same thing. You're
Yes,
mentoring business owners on how to become successful.
you're right, 100%. In business, part of my solutions has been relationships. Be part of nonprofit organizations, be on the board for nonprofits like Kiwanis Club, Lions Club, Toastmasters. I also went to a program called 10,000 Small Business from Goldman Sachs. I went to Dominguez Hills University, a program called Innovators Incubators. And that helped me to understand business to a different level, to put systems in place, procedures, understand finance, numbers. Think like a big company
Yeah.
and put everything in place, systems, procedures, and make people accountable too.
Serrano, you say you didn't go to school,
No.
right? I disagree with you. I
Well,
think you did.
yes,
I think you did. And
different ways.
but I think what it is um, sometimes we're looking at the structure of a school
Mhm.
as a foundation for success, but it is the time you invest in in bettering yourself is what really counts.
Yes.
So, just because you didn't go to university doesn't mean that you can't be better or better yourself. So I want to stress that,
Thank you. You're
so
right.
I think you did go to school. There's no doubt
Yes,
about
I did.
that. I want to give you an easy question because
Yes.
transitioning from a mechanic
Mm-hmm.
to an entrepreneur, to a successful entrepreneur, what was the toughest part for you for giving up the tools, so to speak?
Give up your passion. As a business owner, sometimes we have passion to do things. And I encourage business owners to always check your passion because passion most of the time don't pay bills.
That
You
is
have
true.
to do where you are affected and where you can have results. Because results is the name of the game by the end of the day. In business, you have to understand that you need people. They're the biggest assets. They're the most valuable things we have. But also we have to have results from them.
How important is it to keep that relationship, for instance, with your community? I know that you do a lot of charity
Mhm.
work and you volunteer a lot. But is it about you? Is it about the company? Is it a mixture? What makes you so charitable, I guess?
I think it's safe to say it's many things. One of the things is philanthropy.
Hmm.
You have to believe in your community. You have to support your community. You have to give it back to your community because we success because our community trusts us. And also it's the right thing to do. A lot of good causes out there we can support. We can help.
I love how you said it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
That is it. Really, if you sum everything up,
Mhm.
it comes down to is the right thing to do. If we can just all of us do our part, I think it would
Yeah.
be a great society.
If
Yeah,
we work together, we can create great things.
absolutely, without a doubt.
Mhm.
Before we end the podcast, and I want to thank you for being here. I was inspired by your story. I loved how you started from a child, 10 years old, working to now a successful business owner. What kind of or what advice can you share with our audience if I want to be entrepreneur or
Mhm.
again a struggling business? What kind of advice can you share? It's a
Oh,
loaded question.
I know. I will say that if you're a dreamer, don't give up. You have to understand the power of setting goals and work toward those goals. Have a clear vision what you really want. Understand that vision. Challenge yourself if that vision is going to be there for me for the next 20, 30 years to build a business and sell the business. What sources that I need to accomplish that vision? And when I'm going to start and when it's going to be done. Because a lot of things we only talk and dream but never take action. A lot of things I can throw in there is you have to be focused. Once you make a decision, you have to stay focused, and don't give up. The success is always under construction, like a street under construction. You're going to have problems. You cannot wait to have all the pieces together because it's not going to happen. Sometimes, and most of the time, you have to make the decision and keep going. And whatever happens, yes, you learn or you fix it. But don't wait for things to be done because it's not going to happen.
That's great advice. Servando, once again, thank you
Yes.
so much for coming to the studio, for talking to us at Socio Negocios podcast, sponsored by BMO. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for your kind words.
And thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes of the Socio Negocios podcast, sponsored by BMO. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.